Hi there, my name is Somategis here, back with another video. So a few weeks ago I bought this thing. It's called a dummy battery, right? I bought it from Amazon. It was around 21 or 22 US dollars, which translates to 500 rands in South Africa, and that's including shipping costs, right? Import taxes and whatnot, port duty, that's what it's called. So those things, right? So I bought this thing instead of buying a second battery, right? And the second battery cost like 920 rands, so I saved 420 by buying this thing. Obviously, if you didn't have, because this thing works through a power bank, right? If you didn't have a power bank, add that as well in here, still seems like a better value, right? So why would I recommend that you buy this thing instead of a battery, right? First reason, as I've said, it's cheaper than a battery, and the amount of power, it's not like you're buying one battery, right? Because if you have a bigger, let's say I have a 10,000 milliamp power bank here, right? So with that power bank, it means because this camera uses like a 1040 milliamp hour battery, right? So that's like almost 10, right? That wouldn't be 10, 40, it's 400, let's say 9, right? Let's say it's equivalent to 9 batteries, right? That means you can go the whole day shooting with just a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank instead of using the battery there, right? The other thing is I bought a gimbal, right? The nicest thing is that you can connect this thing, right? With USB, right? USB connector. Can connect this thing to the port in the I'm pointing at the gimbal now. So you can connect this thing to the port on the gimbal and put it in there, and you're good to go. So your gimbal powers your camera while you're shooting video and whatnot, which is very much easier, keeps the whole thing tidy and whatnot, right? That's the other advantage of having this thing. What's the other advantage? You shoot non-stop, right? Especially if you mainly take pictures, I highly recommend you buy this thing. If for video, here's the problem. So the cons now of why you might not want to buy this thing. So what happens with the power bank is that when not in power, or when not consistent power is drawn from the power bank shuts off, right? Or shuts down. When it shuts down, and the camera doesn't treat this thing the same way as it treats the battery, so it doesn't save the footage when the thing shuts down. So you lose whatever, let's say you've been recording for 5 minutes, whatever you were recording at that time, it's gonna be lost because you're using this thing. So what I've been doing to try and combat that is to make sure that my power bank doesn't turn off, which depends on how techy you are, but this doesn't need you to be techy. Just put a piece of paper on this thing. I'm not sure if you can see, it's too much light. So there's a button on or off. So if this button is pressed the whole time, this thing won't go off. So I just tape the whole thing here whenever I'm shooting video, right? To have a second layer of protection. Also, I make sure my clips don't go over 4 or 5 minutes, especially if it's not something like an interview or something like that. If it's something that can be stopped or whatnot, or a moment, right? So if it's a video, that stopping for a moment wouldn't disrupt the whole thing. I make sure that I do that as well when I'm using this thing, when I'm using this dummy battery, right? I think that's the only issue I've had. So I've had it fail a few times. Man, I was frustrated. I was shooting with a client at that time as well. Man, frustrating stuff. Other than that, man, I'd highly recommend buying this thing. Maybe you can even get the expensive one from Canon if you wish. This is the cheaper one made by, I think, a Chinese company or something like that. DC coupler DR-E18 for Canon 200D, right? Maybe if you get the one made by Canon, maybe it would work better and whatnot. I'm not sure, but I think this is a better value more than a battery, right? Or the other thing that might be a problem, right? So when you're connecting this, you have now another line and another sort of this video is getting too long when it shouldn't. If you're connecting this using a gimbal, right, connecting this to your power bank and whatnot, there is another weight added which adds or disrupts your balance in terms of your gimbal. Obviously you have to rebalance and whatnot, work around that. That's another thing that you might consider, right? There is a lot to consider when you shoot mainly video, but if you are a picture person, photographer mainly, and there is no reason, as Bill Bear says, there is no reason why you shouldn't buy this thing instead of buying. Why you should buy? There is no reason you should buy a battery instead of buying this thing. I think it's better value, right? All right, that's been it. So much easy with the quick one. See you in the next video. Peace, I think. Oh, we out, right? Let's shoot the next one. We're on fire today.